Today on Hands On Photography, you all have been asking me, I don't know how many times over the last couple of years about wedding photography. Well, today we're finally going to get into wedding photography. And no, it's not me. I'm not talking about wedding photography. My guest, Andre Brown, is an amazing wedding photographer, has great experience and great stories to tell. It's going to be a fun episode. Y'all stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Hands On Photography is brought to you by Blueland. Blueland is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastics by reinventing home essentials that are good for you and the planet. Right now, you get 15% off your first order when you go to blueland.com/hop. Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Ant Pruitt, and this is Hands On Photography. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always on this fine podcast. I like to sit down and share different tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer as well as a better post processor. And every now and then I get an opportunity to sit down with an esteemed professional photographer out there that's doing some amazing things. That's just creating beautiful art as well as also sharing some knowledge for everybody that's trying to get better in this field. And that's what we got going on today. I have a guest that's hailing from all the way over there in the east side of the country, down there in the South, in Atlanta. This man is an amazing portrait photographer, but he's definitely known for his wedding photography as well, and his interesting background and how he actually got into this, because photography wasn't the first thing in his career. But we'll touch on that momentarily. Allow me to introduce to you all my man, Mr. Andre Brown. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. How's everything going?
It is unbelievable as always. I appreciate you sitting down with me today and just dropping some knowledge, because, man, I got to tell you, I've had the topic come up on the show a gazillion times. We are now in 150 plus episodes of Hands On Photography, and it's been a lot of times people ask me about wedding photography, and I got to tell you, I always say, no, I'm not advising that. I'm not advising it, man, because wedding photography is a different beast of a craft. And I've always just given a tip of the hat to you folks out there that's doing it and doing it well. You know, I've previously had Miss Vanessa Joy on the show way back when. I know you probably know her. She's a Canon Explorer of Light and just does amazing wedding work and shares a lot of interesting tips on that. And hopefully we can have you sit down today and share some of your insight as far as just, you know, the ins and outs of doing wedding photography and doing it well, and the dynamics of dealing with people. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about, you know, where you're from, and I'm not going to ask you like when did you first start shooting photography, but just give us a little bit of background on you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up military brat, so I moved around. I never really tell people I'm from anywhere. Oh, okay. You know, I spent my younger years in Boston. I was born in South Carolina. I went to high school in South Carolina. I lived in LA longer than I lived any place else. So after college, I moved to LA. I worked in music, and I was out there for 12 years. And then I moved here to Atlanta about 10 years ago. So a little all over the place again from, you know, military. Like, I think I skipped, like, you know, college. I went to college in Florida, down in Orlando. And so I've been, you know, kind of all over the place, and I have been fortunate enough to, with music, travel a lot. Mm-hmm. And then with photography, I travel a lot. It's generally the first conversation, or the first thing people ask me during the conversation is like, where are you? Are you in Atlanta, or, you know, where in the world are you? Which I find hilarious, because I never post about how much I travel. So the fact that people know I'm never home, one is strange to me, right? But two, it's like, I mean, obviously to some degree, you know, you don't really think people are paying attention, but people do understand, you know, people are paying attention sometimes, you know? Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, photography has taken me, all around the world again, and it's exposing me to a lot of new experiences that I didn't get to have before. So. Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned going to school in Florida, there in Central Florida, but you got started in the creative industry on the music side of things.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that, because that's a first here on the show.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like I went to college. I went to a school called Full Sail. It's super popular now, but when I went to Full Sail was like half of the building that housed the water department. You know what I'm saying? Back then. So, now it's like this big monstrosity of a school, and but I went to school for music, and the music program and the film program, they cross at some point because obviously they go hand in hand. So when I moved to LA, was working in music. We ended up doing a lot of music for like television shows and movies and stuff like that. And that was my first exposure to photography, cinematography type thing, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to be on, like when we were working with different artists, going to magazine shoots, going to music video shoots, things of that nature, and getting to see the stills and stuff. And I'm like, man, like that's dope. Like how does that even look like that?
Yeah.
It's the naked eye, it doesn't translate. And, but I always say that my buddy Alan, who is this photographer in LA, who I just thought this dude was the best photographer in the world. Right. Mm-hmm. I used to tell him all the time, like, man, like, I would love to just come and hang out and see what's what. I have zero interest in being a photographer. I used to tell him this all the time. So if Alan knew I was a photographer right now, he'd be pissed. Like, yo, he didn't want to be a photographer. But that was the truth. Right. Even when I started in photography, I had zero interest in being a photographer. I was transitioning from music, looking for something different. Mm-hmm. And, my family was like, oh, you should be a photographer. And I'm like these don't make money, And, but there was this like whole other world of photography that I didn't really know existed. Like, I'm originally from a small town. So like, Olin Mills and JCPenney. Right?
Oh yeah.
And, living in LA, then like these bigger fashion photographers. So like the Nigel Barkers, the Nick Saliambenis, stuff like that. Yeah. Like, so Nick, I knew Nick through a friend, and Nick shot like the covers of Maxim, right?
Nice.
But there was a whole world in between that I had no idea about. And once I started to like explore a little bit, I got into portraits like everybody else. Started off with portraits, charging nothing for portrait sessions and people not wanting to pay that.
Yeah.
So I kind of went to weddings more so because I knew that people had a particular expectation of what they had to spend on a wedding photographer, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. They're very skewed guidelines, but at the time, like, you had the Knot and Wedding Wire who were like, oh, you're going to spend XYZ, in this range for a photographer.
Right.
So that I can look at that number, say, all right, this is what people are paying. I can shoot this number of weddings. I can make my income predictable. Right.
Right.
That's why I went down the wedding rabbit hole and just kind of fell in love with, weddings and shooting weddings.
Today's episode of Hands On Photography is brought to you by Blue Land. Did you know that an estimated 5 billion plastic hand soap and cleaning bottles are thrown away each year? And if that's not bad enough, most cleaning products are pretty much 90% water. So that means it's pretty heavy to ship. And of course, this leads to excessive carbon emissions and totally screwing up our air. Good grief. Plus, those products are often filled with nasty ingredients like chlorine and ammonia. Man, this is a lose-lose situation for me, you, and the planet. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the number of plastic bottles and containers you throw away? You ever thought about purchasing a more eco-friendly product but didn't quite know where to start? Or maybe you've tried a few of those, quote, green products, but found it to be pricey or flat out ineffective. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, let me introduce you to our sponsor, Blueland. Blueland is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastics by reinventing home essentials that are good for you and the planet. Blueland's innovative tablet refill solution takes up 10 times less space than a traditional bottle, and their powerful formula keeps your home clean and smelling amazing. The idea is simple. You just grab one of their beautiful forever bottles and fill it up with some warm water, throw in one of their little cleaning tablets, and then you get the cleaning. That's it. Simple. Refills start at just $2, and you don't have to buy a new plastic bottle every time you run out of the cleaning product. You can even set up a subscription so you never run out of the products you use the most and save even more when you buy in bulk. Love how that works. From cleaning sprays to hand soap to toilet cleaner and laundry tablets, all Blueland products are made with ingredients that you can feel good about. We use the good old toilet cleaner here in the Pruitt household. It's literally just a tablet. You drop it in the bowl and it fizzes up and bubbles up and all of that good stuff. And you can tell it's just doing its thing to clean the toilet bowl effectively. You can try the Clean Essentials Kit, which has everything you need to get started. Blueland products come in refreshing signature scents like iris, agave, fresh lemon, and eucalyptus mint. And for a limited time, their hand soap is getting a bit of a holiday upgrade with 3 refreshing new scents. They have the evergreen, they have winterberry, and they have peppermint. Now, doesn't all of that sound like the holiday season? Yes, it does. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you go to blueland.com/hop. That's 15% off your first order of any Blueland products at blueland.com/hop. Yep, blueland.com/hop. Hey, Blueland, I appreciate you supporting hands-on photography. So basically, the existing structure of wedding pricing at the time just sort of made it easier for you to jump in and say, you know what? All right, I know I can pay my bills because this is a standard that everybody tends to follow. And if I want to crank it up a little bit and give myself a little bit of a raise, I can do that. So that's what it was. It had nothing to do with the pageantry of weddings or anything like that. Because I know some photographers, they really get into the idea of all of the fluff and pageantry and pomp and, all of that stuff that goes on with the weddings. And I'm thinking, that's just not my scene. I couldn't get into it. Do you ever look at it like that? You get into the environment of the wedding and you're like, wow, this is just absolutely beautiful here. I can't help but to click the shutter. Or is it more so, I'm just going to make these people look really, really, really good. And they're going to want to call me back and tell everybody on the planet about me.
So it ended up being a combination of things. So like the first thing I ever wanted to do as a career, like I'm in high school, I'm figuring things out, right? Mm-hmm. The first thing I ever wanted to do as a career was be an interior designer. And that came from I'm really close with one of my aunts, mm-hmm. and her and my uncle were in the process of building a house at the time, right? So, going back to Boston, spending time with, her, they're picking out flooring, they're picking out faucets, wallpaper, all of this. I was just really intrigued with it all, right? Mm-hmm. So that was like the first thing that I was like solid on that I wanted to do was be an interior designer. I made that pivot later on into, music just because I had gotten some exposure to some things. And I was like, you know what, I think this might be kind of, cool. And so as I got into weddings again from a need, like I needed to be able to make some money, right? Keep in mind, I had never been to a wedding before I shot my first wedding.
Oh, wow.
So I had,
wow. Okay.
had no baseline, you know what I'm saying, of what to do. And I'm not even like I don't have a friend group where I'm always like at weddings, right? Mm-hmm. I think I've been to I've been to like one, maybe two weddings as an attendee. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I had no baseline for what a wedding was supposed to be like. So I kind of just had to figure it out. Right.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So there's that process of like going through the process and trying to figure out like, is what I'm doing standard? Like, am I doing what's expected of me? And I do wish that I had gotten an opportunity to like second shoot and stuff like that more before I got into weddings, because I feel like my initial clients would have appreciated it a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
would have had a little bit more of a baseline.
Right.
But, now I get the best of everything. When the decor is great, I love the decor. I rarely, trust the second shooter or something like that shooting decor. I want to shoot the decor. Right. Shooting the details in the first part of the day. If I'm in a groove and I can get the details the way that I want them, because I'm thinking ahead, what are album spreads going to look like? Things of that nature. So if that's going good, I already know I'm in a rhythm and it's going to be a great day. Well, if I get there and the details are like, I'm like, oh my God, it's not giving me that opportunity to kind of like warm up and get in a groove or get excited, Right. So, I mean, I can literally hit every genre of photography on a wedding day. Product photography with the details and the shoes. Yeah. The decor, like that's like interiors to some degree.
Right. Architectural at times too, right?
Right. Which is what my portraits are. Most of the stuff that I have here in the studio right now is maternity, because I'm here in the studio and this is mainly where I do maternity portraits. But even here I got like some products from clients that like they're all environmental shots. Like I'm known for these environmental shots, but my goal is to sell wall portraits. Yeah. So of course I'm out there taking like these environmental shots. So I can hit every genre of photography, on a wedding day. Nice.
So your first tip for people that are interested in getting into wedding photography, is it safe to say that they should probably attend a couple weddings or maybe just see if they could do like some assistantships or anything like that with another photographer shooting weddings? What are your thoughts on just for folks wanting to really get into this craft of shooting wedding photography?
Assist as much as possible. I still second shoot now. I have a friend of mine who second shoots with me, and I go and I second shoot weddings with him. Nice. Pre-COVID, me doing my weddings and his weddings, we were probably doing, in total 50, 60, weddings a year, because we're shooting for one another. I shoot 30 plus, right? Wow. Plus what he's got going on, and most of his weddings were Indian weddings. So, lots of wedding days, but I'd have friends just like, oh man, what are you doing Saturday? I need a second shooter. You know anybody? I'm like, I'm not doing nothing.
Here I am.
I'll go shoot to be able to go out and just focus on nothing but creating and not have to worry about the stress of wrangling family members and, having to be this front person. I can just go in and create some dope pieces. Right. That's fun. The pay that comes along with it, it's like, that's negligible, right? Right. It's second shooter pay, it's negligible, but I can go in and just
it's the art, the creation there.
Stuff. Right.
I love that. Love that. Now, wedding season. Okay. Again, I'm an outsider on this thing. I see wedding season as being, roughly like April to July, August tops. Is that typical wedding season, or is it something that just this is year round? Because you're saying you're shooting 30 something weddings in a year. That's to me that's a lot, because that's only a handful of months in my head of wedding season. But I'm assuming wedding season is stretched out further than those months.
Yeah, it definitely varies in like the part of the country that you're in. So here in Atlanta, we're definitely March to November, right? In like the South, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama.
Yeah.
March to November. So here, popular months are May because it's like right before it gets crazy hot.
Yeah.
September because it's on the backside of it being extremely hot, and then October is like better temperatures. So depending on price point, and, things of that nature, you could easily end up with 12 weddings in March, 12 in September, 12 in October, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday weddings. Yesterday I had gone to a hotel here just to go grab a drink with a friend. I go in, I see a videographer I know. Like, oh, what's going on? What you doing? It's like, I'm shooting a wedding. It's Monday. Monday. And he's like shooting this wedding like in the middle of the afternoon, right?
Wow.
But yeah, here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. Wow. Friday, Saturday, Sunday in March, in May, September, October. Easily you could be booked out. Every one of those. Yeah, it's crazy,
dude. Yeah, I'd like to follow you around just to see that flow and that process of just going 200 mile an hour. It sounds like you have to go 200 mile an hour minimum.
Some weddings are like that. Some weddings you get there and like I had a wedding, it was October 22nd. It was nonstop from the time that I got there. That was the first time I ever shot a wedding. And I went home and I was like moving slow and I was just really tired. I'm like, I don't know if that's the 41 or this wedding just kind of took me out, but
got your miles in.
Yeah, man. When it was all said and done, like I didn't do nothing the next day, like nothing at all.
Now you mentioned you're meeting up with a videographer here, just in happenstance here. I noticed on your website you talk about some of the services you offer, and video is now included in some of your services. Can you share some of your thought process behind that? Because we've been talking about editing video, at least for people getting started with video editing. I've done a few modules to help people dive into an editor and understand the in and outs of just putting something together. What's it like, saying, you know what, I'm going to do not only photos, but I'm also going to do video for a wedding. What are you looking for? What's the thought process from a video standpoint?
It's stressful, bro.
Just be real with me.
Right. So doing wedding video and photo, there are very few people that do both well, right? Mm-hmm. I'm biased, but I like to think that my team and I, we do both well, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm looking more so for the story component. We live in this time now. Like I started offering video, I think it was like 2018 or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And very story driven, cinematic. Like cinematic is like a buzzword or whatever now or whatever, right? But,
yeah, I gotta tell you, I sort of hate hearing that because a lot of times people assume cinematic is a color. I'm like, no, it's not a color.
Yeah. So like when the cinematic became like this buzz where everybody's doing cinematic videos, you look at the video, you like, there's nothing cinematic about this, right?
Right.
But our goal is to tell a story with the videos, right? And now we live in this time where I'll show up to weddings. I'll see a videographer come in. He's got one gimbal, one camera, 2 lenses, and he's like, oh yeah, it's about to make a wedding video. I'm like, bro, do you know when we go in, we're 5 cameras,
Yeah.
Ceremony set up, 2 on the flank. So over the shoulders for each one of the partners in the couple, right? Mm-hmm. You got the wide in the aisle, you got the tight in the aisle. I've had weddings where we've been outside, so we've thrown the drone up to like pan to like make it like this theatrical experience, right?
Right.
You know, going out, shooting B-roll, just, oh, what you doing today? Oh, I'm not doing nothing. I'm just going out to shoot B-roll just to be able to have good content to add to, you know, wedding videos, right?
Right.
But cats are not doing that. Like, these videographers are not doing that. They're not putting as much, you know, thought and attention and care into the process. And in all fairness, I don't think people know that that's what they want. Like and this is, you know, no shade to videographers out there, but it's been a thing for the past. Like, there's no barometer for videography, right? Mm-hmm. It's just, oh, it got captured on video. That's why these things are so powerful now, you know? Yeah. Think about it. Everything that we watch on TV is horizontal. Now life has become vertical because they depend on this, right? Right. And there are people out there who capture great videos. They tell good stories with this, right? But most people who are out there collecting a check as a videographer, they're just catching clips and cutting them together. They're not telling stories. They're not, you know, they're not putting that much thought and care into it at all.
Okay. Now, my next question. Getting into weddings, I guess it's ideal to just focus more on one aspect, photography or focus on video. You don't recommend going in, you know, with both?
No, not if you can't have a solid team to do both well, right? Mm-hmm. So even me, I will only take a certain amount of photo and video combos a year, right? Mm-hmm. But I'll also only take those jobs if I can have particular team members with me. I need to be able to have my main video guy that I don't have to ask any questions. Mm-hmm. I don't have to run behind audio, things like, did you do this, do that? Like, I don't have to ask. All I have to do is focus on photo. Right. He shoots the video. When it's time to dig into the content, I know that I have the content that I want, right? Mm-hmm. Don't go out there and do both just to get a check, man. Not at all, because something is gonna suffer. Like, I had a situation where I was booked for both. My guy ended up with COVID.
Oh boy. Oh no.
Now I'm looking around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to figure it out. And like, we're trying to salvage quality of video because we're getting a body, right, to help. Mm-hmm. But, you know, again, people that have a camera and call themselves videographers are not necessarily out there looking to tell a story. Right. Photographers, in all fairness, are not out there to tell a story. Right. At the end of the day, you know, for me, I'm shooting for these, man. Right. Like, I'm shooting for these. Right. Yeah. Because that's the difference between me selling an album and not selling an album, but also selling a, you know, 20-page album versus a 50-page album, or there have been times where I've done volume 1, volume 2 albums.
Wow. Good grief.
Yeah. Because once you lay it out in story form, right? Yeah. People will fall in love with it, you know, and just all depending on what you're charging for those albums. Like, my bigger album that I have over here, this is the album that everybody loves. Mm-hmm. I charge $35.50 for it. Mm-hmm. I got a buddy, my mentor, he charges $6,000 album, and people are paying it all day. Right. People are paying $35 all day. So, you know, and I like to think that in terms of the way my albums are laid out, I've seen his albums, they're not laid out in the same way. I was actually pretty surprised. I was like, man, like, it's just pictures on a page. It's not like storyboard form the way that I do it, right? Right. There's a difference. Yeah. Right. You know, and he's charging more money and doing less work. So, it's working for him, you know, but again, I want to be able to sell as much of this stuff as humanly possible. There's a difference between, I charge my rate and I'm delivering this gallery of images versus, you know, coming in later on, selling products and stuff. I have a client that's coming in Friday for another shoot. I just shot their wedding. up until this point, they're 20,000 in with me for the year.
Nice. That's awesome.
Wedding and post-wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
We haven't gotten to this next session yet, right? So, but that's being able to show products and having a workflow that supports whatever your ultimate goal is.
Right. I love that. You got to set yourself up for the success. Got to set yourself up for it. Now, before we get out of here, I want to give you the opportunity to tell folks where they can find the stuff that you're shooting that you can actually share. Because some things, not all weddings are meant to be shared online. But where can we find the stuff that you've been working on? Or do you have any speaking engagements coming up? Because I know that you have done some things with Imaging USA and WPPI. And I believe you're also a part of StellaPro and those folks and Westcott. And I love StellaPro. This is a StellaPro CLX10 that I use the light for the show. It's such a good light. It's such a good light.
I use the Stellas a lot at weddings. So, I know we have a time restriction, but for instance, my lighting setup is I'll have always have four flashes, strobes,
Yep.
I use the Westcotts for that. But no matter what, I always have my two Stellas. It's generally two CLX10s. If I'm traveling, I do a lot of travel. I'll take a CLX10 and I'll take a reflex, right? Mm-hmm. Because those lights give me the ability to move quickly and not have to fiddle with flash power. Whatever I see is what I get.
Yep.
So my CLX10 is generally, besides my camera and lenses, that's the first thing that I have, right?
That's what's up.
Flashes are, negligible to some point, right?
Yep.
I have CLX10 because I use that as a rover light. So I'll have my 4 lights set up. They'll be placed wherever they're placed.
Yep.
Ceremony, reception, but I'll throw CLX10 on a stand inside of a softbox, and I use it as a rover light. It's with me 24/7. It's always on my right. And now, if I'm shooting decor in the space with my flashes, my couple comes, I could just take the CLX10, throw it on them, boom, 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 get my shots. If the lights are set up in the room for room decor, and a piece like an area is dark that I just can't, quite get to.
Right.
I just take CLX10, put it on whatever it is. Like it's quick.
I love that thing. The battery lasts so long on it. It's a tank. Because I've dropped mine a couple times. Don't tell Stella. Don't tell Light in Motion. I've dropped it a couple times, but it takes a beating and it keeps on going, but that's the difference between having pro grade material versus prosumer-ish. You pay a little bit more, but little stuff like that goes a long way for gear. Yeah.
And so for me, I do photo and video, right? Mm-hmm. And because on those jobs where I'm doing photo video, I'm using my Stella lights for my video lights, and it reduces the need for some of my other lights because I can just use them for both. I just expose product for both.
Right.
And then the CLX10s have those the modifiers to be able to take the light and change them, like a medium focus, a wide focus, things like that. So, I know we're all big on strobes. I use the Westcotts. I love those lights. I use them here in studio. But I always have my StellaPro CLX10 on me. And again, just all depending on certain scenarios.
Right.
I have my reflex with me as well. Like if I'm for sure gonna have an assistant, I'll have that reflex because it's got that little pistol grip.
Yeah, I haven't played with the reflex yet. I remember they announced that or launched it last year, I believe, but I haven't got my hands on one of them yet. I need to see if I can get my hands on one to play with it. I like the size and form factor of it. Like you said, it's just the portability of it because the CLX10 is already portable. They made this one even smaller and more portable, but yet you're still getting a decent decent amount of power to use them pretty much wherever you are in location. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that thing at some point.
It's especially like the burst mode. So I use them more as constant lights, right?
Yep.
Because I want that grab and go feel.
Yep.
Whatever light I get is what I get, right?
Yep.
But I was on his initial demo team of the Reflex. I don't know if I can say that, but it's out. So I was on the initial demo team, and when I say demo team, I'm like, all right, nobody can touch it. Here's a trigger. You guys use it. And when I tell you the burst mode, which emulates a flash,
right,
never misses fire. So we're trying to They gave us the job of basically break it, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was using the 1DX2 at the time. 1DX2, I don't know if you ever put that on like continuous mode.
Mm-hmm.
But you put that thing on continuous mode, it's like a Rambo movie.
Yeah.
Right? This joint never missed.
Wow.
Never.
Yeah, because normally recycle time is the key when it comes to these types of lights, and they're always boasting having a fast recycle time, but I gotta tell you, it's never fast enough, right?
No, and because this is not a traditional strobe, you're not subject to sync speed. Right. You don't have to worry about that. So it's just putting out light. Now, yes, you don't have the power that you would have on like a 600 or 400 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But you're able to get out there and make some things happen. You want to shoot, during sunset, which is typically what we're doing anyway. Like, I know, I'm not out there midday shooting.
Nope.
And I have these Westcotts in here. I'm not out there midday shooting. One is hot, right?
Thanks.
Right. Then you have the complications of, I need to have proper modifiers to get rid of raccoon eyes. Like I'm going for the path of least resistance. Yep. So I can take that out there and get done what I need to get done. And I've actually found a way to kind of like jerry rig it to my my Mac box, right? Because I carry my Mac box everywhere with me, right? So I've found a way to like mount it to my Mac box. So now I have the portability of the Mac box. I got this light that I have mine at the house inside of my camera bag, but I got a light that's like effectively this big in terms of thickness, this big in terms of how round it is. I can slide it in anywhere. A little pistol grip part, I could drop that in there and I'm gone. And it's lightweight. So, yeah, man, those lights are a game changer. So I have 2 of the S's, and then I have 2, and that's the reflex-s. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 of the S's, and then I have 2 of the CLX-10s, and I always have at least 1 of each with me everywhere I go.
Good stuff. So yeah, I need to get my hands on the Reflex. I'll have to go check out the website. We'll have some descriptions and links in our show notes to let people take a look at those as well. Because again, I use the CLX-10 and it's a tank. It's a tank. I've abused it a couple times, not on purpose, and it's still ticking, waterproof and all of that. So yeah, they definitely get a good sign off from me on that as well. My man, I really do appreciate you hanging with me today. What's your Instagram site where people can give you a follow, or your website?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. All my social accounts are Andre Brown Photo, so you can find me everywhere, Andre Brown Photo. My website is my name, andrebrown.com. You got a better chance of getting updated content on Instagram than on my website, like most people. And ironically, I'm horrible about posting on Instagram too. So, but I'm all, stay there or look there for updates. I'll be at WPPI. Likely, they haven't made announcements, but I'll likely be at WPPI doing a lighting class. So I'll have my Stellas with me there. I'll be at imaging, talking about workflows and how to, grow your business and, double, triple your income without doing much more work than what you're already doing.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. Check out my education platform, bocaacademy.co. I have, classes there about, different photography subjects. So it's myself and some other instructors there providing a great photography education over there. So yeah, just check us out.
Sweet. My man, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate you being on here and dropping some knowledge for everybody here in the hands-on photography community.
Thanks, man. Just have me back anytime. Just give me a shout.
Definitely.
All
right, everybody. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Man, there's so much knowledge dropped there. And I got to tell you, I enjoyed talking to him, but I'm probably still not getting in the way. I'm probably still not going to do it. Nope. But everybody, hey, thanks for checking out the show each and every week. Do me a favor. Go ahead and make sure you are subscribed in whatever podcast application you're using, even on our YouTube channel. Go to the website, twit.tv/hop. That's twit.tv/HOP. for hands-on photography, where you'll see all of our previous episodes. You see all of the show notes. You see all the subscription options there. And if your podcast application allows you to do some sort of rating, a star rating or thumbs up or whatever it is, give me a rating there and leave me a comment there so it can push us up in the search and let other folks discover the show. And be sure to share the show with all of your friends and family and maybe one enemy, just to piss them off a little bit more. I want to give a shout out to my man, Mr. Victor, for making me look and sound good each and every week. Shout out to you, the loyal hands-on photography listener. Hey, safely create and dominate, and we'll catch you next time. Hey folks, I'm Ant Pruitt, and what do you get your favorite tech geek that has everything? A Club TWiT gift subscription, of course. TWiT podcasts keep them informed and entertained with the most relevant tech news podcasts available. With the Club TWiT subscription, they get access to all of our podcasts ad-free. They also get access to our members-only Discord, access to exclusive outtakes, behind the scenes, and special content such as AMAs, which I just love hosting. Plus exclusive shows such as Hands on Mac, Hands on Windows, and the Untitled Linux Show. Purchase your geek's gift at twit.tv/clubtwit, and it will thank you every day.